Hey Nerdy Knitter, Tanya here. It's the end of another month and that means another monthly knitting roundup. So grab a drink and your knitting and let's settle in for a good chat. I've got my knitting piled right here beside me. We're ready to dive in, but before we do, a couple of announcements. I have a couple pattern releases. First is the Zulia Poncho for Biscot Yarns. Now, they published this pattern on their website. I can't even remember. It's been quite a while. And after a while, when you publish with a yarn company like that, you have the rights later to republish the pattern yourself. So that's what I've done. So it's available on my website now. And also the beanie that's on the mannequin behind me, the Guiding Star beanie, that's a new release as well. It's available in the latest issue of Cast On magazine. It's a companion pattern to an article about weaving in ends on stranded knitting. So you write an article and then they like to have a pattern to go along with it that's sort of related to the article. So just a basic band of stranded knitting on the hat. And you can't see the top of it though. It's got like a really fun bright orange pom-pom. But I like the hat anyway, so that pattern is now available through the Knitting Guild Association website, TKGA. So if you're a guild member, then you can hop on over there and the pattern's available there. And one more thing before we get to the knitting is our sponsor for the month. This month's sponsor is Knit Companion. I'm really excited about this one because this is a tool that I use all the time when I'm knitting. I actually have it on two different devices. I have the Setup Plus Essentials on my iPad, which is the paid version of the app, and then I have the free version of the app on my phone. I don't have an iPhone, I just have, I don't know, a Samsung, I think. So I have the paid version on one on my iPad and then the free version on my phone. So I sort of decide which place that pattern is going to go. Like very simple patterns where it's like maybe just a simple chart or some like basic instructions, that goes on my phone because I can just look at it on there and knit along. But projects that are more complicated or have lots of charts or larger charts or anything I know I'm going to want to take a lot of notes, that goes on my iPad, so I can use the paid version. But either version, I use them both. I've used the free one for years and years, and the paid version I just recently got, and I'm really loving that as well, all of the extra bonus things. But even the basic one, like you can keep track of like all of your stitch counts and increases and decreases. There's counters, there's like highlighters to keep track of where you are. There's markers, there's so many things. You can keep track of notes on the bottom, which I've been doing with one of my my Twitch pullover. I have to keep track of like how many rows I knit to a certain length so the back and the front will match. So I'm taking lots of notes in that one. I really use this every time I knit. Now the last thing before we get to this month's knitting is the monthly recap. When I record a podcast episode, either just before or just after, I have all my projects out already, so I do a quick little snapshot of what I'd like to do for the upcoming month. So this clip right here is what I recorded at the end of October to see what I wanted to get done for this month, and then we can look at the projects and actually see if I accomplished what I wanted to get done. So let's go look at that. So it's the end of October. I'm about to record my podcast, but I want to show you the progress I'm at right now. So at the end of November for that podcast, we can see if I met my goals or not. So first is the Scout Shawl, and I didn't meet my goal for this one. I wanted to have these two charts done, and I think I still have about maybe, 15 or 20 rows left to do of the chart. So I want to finish that up, and I would also like to finish the next chart. I don't think it's as big as the one I currently did, so hopefully I can finish those and just keep moving through this. This one is I wanted to do it, and I really like how it came out how it's coming out, but it's starting to feel a little bit tedious for me because it's another one of those colorwork things that I'm slow at doing. This stranded knitting flat. My purl rows, I'm very slow, so it's a long process to do this, and it's a lot of different yarns, and no matter what you do, they're going to end up tangled together, so you have to stop and untwist everything. And of course I'm using pretty sticky wool, so it wants to stick together, so not the most enjoyable thing at the moment. That is not the pattern's fault at all, but so I'm hoping to finish the two charts that I wanted to get done this month, and also the next section of the pattern. Now my fading point, I only have one little section left to do. that shouldn't take me more than an afternoon probably, and then like weaving in ends and blocking. So this one, yeah, I'm gonna get this done this month. That should be an easy thing to check off my list. I had big plans for my Twitch sweater. I wanted to have all 3 back panels done, and that didn't happen. I only have 1 finished because, well, I'm knitting a larger size, and these I mean, this is only 1 piece, and I have to do 2 more of these just for the back. So I think my plan is at this point to finish 1 more piece at least, maybe get started on the second one. There's 3 panels for the back, 3 panels for the front, and then the sleeves to finish, which the sleeves will be pretty easy because the body is so large that you don't have to knit. Probably like from like just above your elbow to your wrist is all there is left for the sleeve to do at that point. But it's plain stockinette, nothing really to write home about. My goal I think is to finish the middle back section, which is just straight knitting. There's no shaping involved. It's hard to tell here, but there is some shaping. There was some underarm shaping to like sort of extend the sleeve out along the side, and then you knit the armhole, and then there is some shoulder shaping. It's hard to tell because it's all rolled up here, and some neckline shaping as well. But 1 piece done. I hope to have all 3 for the back done, but that just didn't happen. So let's say the plan for this month is to knit the center back panel and get that one done at least. This is my little travel knitting project, just very simple wrist warmers, cast on the same number of stitches as I would for a sock, but no heel or anything, just knitting a tube. 1 of them is done, and I'm on the second one, so hopefully I'll be able to finish that this month. We'll see, but this is to go with a Musselburgh hat I did a while ago, so it's a nice little matching set. Probably pop it in my box of like giveaway gift kind of projects. But let's say I think I should be able to finish this by the end of the month, I hope. Now here's the progress on the yoke sweater that I'm working on. This is going to be a full tutorial and pattern for beginners, like first yoke sweater kind of thing, with lots of different options for neckline. The one from this is my size. I wanted to work that out first to make sure my grading is correct. So I just finished the second increase round. I've got 1 more to go, and then finishing the yoke. I'm hoping to have the yoke and the body done. I wanted to have a lot more finished, but time just got away from me this month. I had a lot of other things to work on for teaching, so this is pushed back a little bit. I'll probably release it in November if I can stay on schedule. But the grading is all finished, and I'm just working on my first sample. But let's say I think I want to at least have the body finished. Then I can just sort of finish up the sleeves as I'm doing like the rest of the pattern and recording videos and stuff. But I wanted to at least get started to make sure my grading is working out properly. And the best thing to do is like check it for my size, I guess. So that is my work in progress on that. So I'd like to at least finish the body portion of that. And the geode cowl is still not even a pair of knitting needles in this bag yet. It's just a skein of yarn. I'm hoping at least to get to the point. I think I just haven't been in the place to like sit and think about how this works, because you have to use your gauge and your needle to figure out how many stitches you need for the circumference of your cowl, and my brain just has not been in the right place for that. But I'm hoping maybe one weekend I will be interested in doing this and get this going, because it's been sitting in this bag now for a few months. My last project was, which isn't even cast on yet, but it's going to be cast on next week, is the Adventure Cowl Hoodie, which uses Prairie Spun DK from Brown Sheep Company. This pattern will be coming out in early next year. But I haven't even started it, so I've got to get this yarn all caked up and then start swatching and get going on that. The design's pretty simple, so I don't think it'll be particularly difficult, but the plan is to have it done by the end of the month, so I can show it to you, and then I can get pictures and the pattern all written up and ready for Brown Sheep Company. So the first finished object is my fading point shawl. So this is a massive shawl. You can see there's one end, you work to the center, and then you repeat that for the other side. You start out here and you work to the center, and then you join everything in the middle. And you get like this really cool X shape in the middle. So you can see all of the colors here. I dyed the yarn myself. I started with like a coral or a fuchsia. I can't remember. But I combined 2 different colors in different depths of shade or whatever you like, different amounts of dye to get like the different colors. And it is a bit stripey. Right here especially, you can see on the back, like it came out. You can really see the stripes, but those, the way you work the pattern is that sort of ends up on the wrong side, so it's less obvious that it's stripey right here. So you sort of fade from one color to the next. Garter stitch, some lace and eyelets, pretty simple. And the construction was lots of fun though, and I mean, it was a lot. I mean, it's really a huge shawl, which I like because I wanted one I can like wrap up in bed when I'm sitting up in bed reading and my shoulders get cold. This is going to be perfect for that. So that's going to be like my bedtime shawl because it's almost a blanket. It's so big. But really a fun pattern. Like I don't know. I seem to be reaching for garter stitch and simple things a lot more lately. I think it's because I have so many design things going on that even if the designs are simple, it takes a lot of brain power to like, you know, do your stitch counts and figure out the instructions and just grading. And there's so much for my brain to think about that when it comes to personal projects, I've been drawn to simpler things. Now, but this one still has, because the shape, the construction of it was different than, you know, regular shawls that I've done before. And then all of the different colors. So I dyed the yarn myself. So that was fun too. And it feels like natural marking points is, oh, we're finishing with the first color and starting the next. So let's, you know, keep going until we get to that second color. So then you just keep poking away at it and it just kind of almost flew off the needles. For the size of it, I would have thought it would have taken me longer, but it was just a really nice relaxing knit and really enjoyed this one. So the yarn is Capretta Superwash from Knit Picks. That's a blend of 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere and 10% nylon. And the colors, I used Jacquard Acid Dye. So I used just the two basic colors, a yellow and a magenta, but then like combined them at different rates to get like different colors basically. So I can't remember now, but it was, I mean, I just sort of experiment. I don't take really good notes when I dye. I just do what I think I like. And I mean, I'm not going to be selling my own hand-dyed yarn anytime soon. It's more for myself, but I am really pleased. I wanted something bright and nice. And I thought it would be a little too close together, the colors, when I was just looking at the yarn, but I really like how the colors sort of very subtle fade and then it gets a little darker right there, that orange. But I like how it came out. I'm really pleased with it. So I highly recommend the pattern, really easy to follow. I don't think it's particularly hard. Like you are working 2 pieces and then you've got to like do some stuff in the middle to join everything together. It's not difficult. You just follow it step by step and her instructions are very clear, but definitely a good pattern when you want something relaxing but with a little bit of interest in there. And the next thing off my list is my wrist warmers that I had a couple skeins of Hypnotic yarn and I had knit a Musselburgh hat, still had a ton of yarn left. So I'm like, well, let's knit something. And I didn't really feel like doing mittens. So I decided let's just do wrist warmers. That's more simple. Don't have to think about thumbs or anything like that. I can just knit some stripes. So those are done as well. I think they came out really cute. So I was just thinking I needed something for like when I walk the dog every day. I don't like my whole hand covered and I usually I keep making like mittens and stuff, which I like mittens, but I want fingerless things for the walking the dog. And I only have 1 pair and they're really nice. I usually wear them when I'm going out. So I was thinking, and I keep wearing my husband's of some that I've knit for him. So there we go. So I've got these, so they might. But then again, with the Musselburgh hat, I think they'd make like a nice little gift for somebody. So I might pull out some more yarn and knit just another pair of these so I can have them for like walking the dog. I can pull them up over my fingers and yank them down when I've got to, you know, clean up after the dog. And I won't have like to pull mittens off or anything like that. It's really kind of funny. I've knit a lot of mittens for myself, but I don't like to wear those on a walk. But I've only knit 1 pair of fingerless mittens that I've kept. I keep, like, people will admire them and I'm like, oh, here, you want them? I just give them away. But I should stop doing that and save my knitting for myself, because I was looking through the knitting and realized I didn't have any fingerless mitts for myself. And already this pair, I'm thinking it would just be a nice gift. So I'm going to have to pull out some I've got lots of sock scrap, so I think I might just make another pair of these maybe over Christmas break, but those are off the needles. So this uses Hypnotic Yarn Plush Sock in Wildflower and Amethyst Shadow. So like for knitting it, I just like thought about, well, I took a sock, basically, hand knit sock, and put it over my wrist to see how it fit. And I like the fit. It was a little not tight, a little on the loose side. So I'm like, I'm just going to go with that same number, and for my sock that's 72 stitches, so I just cast on 72 stitches and started knitting a tube. So I mean, if you've done hand knit socks, put it on your arm, see how it fits, and then that, like, use that same cast on or go up or down a little if you need to. It's not really a hard and fast rule. One of them has an extra round somewhere. Oh, this one right here, because sometimes the colors, there's a lot of the purple in like the brownish color, and I miscounted in there, so there's one extra row on that one, but it's not probably going to be obvious to anybody but me. But those are in the finished pile. I still have like 30 grams of one of the skeins still left. I feel like the yarn is a never-ending yarn, but it's now in sort of like I've got a jar of sock yarn, and then I've got another bag of like extra, well, I've got two scrap bags. One has DK and worsted weight, and one has sock yarn. And they have like scrap blanket things in there. Like I've got a safe at home blanket in the worsted weight one. And then I do a crochet granny squares in that one as well. And then in the sock yarn bag, I have the little hexapuff pattern, which I haven't even used that one, and just a mitered square blanket that I just keep adding to occasionally. I should pull those out and show them, but I haven't actually done anything with them in ages. That's just where my scraps end up when there's not enough for like even swatching, because I've got bins on the bottom of my bookshelf behind me. The bins on the bottom have like yarn that I can use for swatching or small projects, and then when it's like just little bits, it goes in the scrap bags, because I can't waste yarn. But these are off the needles now, and the rest of this yarn is now in the scrap bag. So I think last month all I had done was shown you the yarn for this project, but it's complete. This is something I've been working on. I don't want to put it on. Maybe I'll have a picture done by the time I get to posting this. But so this is a hooded cowl. Let's see if I can at least show you. So the back does come up a little more, but it's just a big cowl, split side right there. So this one, I've got a microphone on, so I don't want to put this on me, but this will sit on this shoulder, and then like the cowl sits around your neck. But there's short rows in the back, so this part's a little longer, so you can sort of pull it up over your head. And then like 2 buttonholes in here, basically, in this folded casing, and then like just a simple drawstring to close it up around your head if you want. So that one is a project I've been working on for the Brown Sheep Company. It's a design that will be on their website sometime next early winter in January, February, perhaps. So it uses their Prairie Spun DK, which is 100% wool. The color is a new one, Wild Mallard. So this really beautiful green. I really like it. And you can see when I'm holding it up, like it's about level on the bottom. So the short rows bring the back of the hood up. So when you wear it as a hood, you can pull it over your head. And it's not like riding up in the back. There's like a couple sections of short rows. So really easy knit. It wasn't hard. The pattern will come in 3 different sizes, like a youth, adult small, adult large. This is the adult large. So it's just a mistake rib at the bottom. That was knit flat, and then joined in the round right here, and stockinette in the round. There's a section of short rows along the back, along the hem down here, and then a lot of just stockinette. In the 2 adult sizes, there are a couple of decreases along the sides. Oop, got a hair there. Just to sort of narrow it in a little bit so it's not so big, because I used the shoulders as like the width for the cowl, which is kind of big for a whole cowl. So I decreased a little on the sides to sort of give it a slight cone shape. And then after that, you do another set of short rows at the top. I like to do them so so you can't see them. basically. If you do the short rows in plain stockinette, you can see sometimes where those short row turns were done, but I did them so they were worked right along where the ribbing, this mistake rib, was going to be done. So they're hiding like along that mistake rib row. So you can look for them and you can probably find them, but you're not going to see them in the stockinette because you work them the last thing before you work the ribbing, so they get hidden in there, which is how I prefer to work them. There's probably like a technical reason to work them the other way. So they're worked two different ways. On the bottom, you start with the shortest and they get longer and longer, and that keeps them hidden along that mistake rib down there. And then I did the opposite up here. You start with the longest one and they get shorter and shorter, and then you start the mistake rib, and that mistake rib hides all of those short rows. Probably not explaining it well, but that you just have to work them. You have to decide how you're going to work them, shortest to longest or longest to shortest, and whichever way will hide them is how I wanted them to work here. And then just more mistake rib at the top, fold it over, whip stitch in place. I decided not to like bind off and sew it down because I wanted it to stay nice and loose. So I thought just whip stitching the live stitches would keep the top nice and loose, which is what you want in a cowl. You'd want to be able to have it nice and drapey. And then I just made a twisted cord and fed it through, and that was it. So not particularly hard, just a lot of knitting because it's a big cowl and it like is as wide as my shoulders. I used, that's what I decided on for the size because I was thinking about how big it should be. So I used the like shoulder to shoulder measurement as my base. That was total guess, but very pleased with how it came out. And I will need to get pictures of that done. I don't know if I'll get that done before this episode, but I will try to remember to come back and put the link for the pattern. If not, when patterns are published, I always like put them on my website. Even if it's not published through my website, I will link out to wherever it's published. So you can always just go to my website, tanyaknits.com/patterns, and there will be like a listing of like patterns that are available on other websites as well. And when this is available, I will put a link there for that. So really nice. I'm pleased with how this came out. I never done a hood before, and I didn't want to do like some big shaped thing. So I'm like, the easiest thing to do, knit in a tube, add some short rows to lift the back sort of. And I think it came out really well. So on my needles is the Scout Shawl. And we should turn it around so you can see the actual color work. But then again, I think the stranded side is really pretty too. Got lots of ends to weave in, but this uses stranded knitting, knit flat, along with intarsia, because each of these blocks has to be joined together. So you use intarsia to join them, and then the edges are their own little balls of yarn as well that are dangling here somewhere. So this is coming along quite well. Ooh, lots of ends on this section, but I have reached the final chart, which was, I believe my goal was at least to finish the last chart, and I've done that. I'm on the final chart now, which is actually 2 charts long and decreasing. So I'm making the other side. It's sort of like a long crescent shape. It's all rolled up in on itself because it's stockinette stitch. But the colors look really nice, just like a nice quilt patchwork kind of thing. So I'm on the last section of that, and hopefully I will have this done by the next episode. The yarn is Knit Picks Palette, which is really good for stranded knitting, it's just 100% Peruvian Highland wool, and 6 different colors. And I used she has like a Florence Spurling is the designer. She has, let me check, yes, that is the designer, like some guidelines about color. So I think it was just like pick 2 colors and then like different shades within those colors. So I have like a white, and then I have 3 shades of green and 3 shades of purple. There's 2 of them right there. Not 3 shades of each, 2 shades of each. So 5 colors altogether. That neutral, which I used white, 2 shades of green, 2 shades of purple. I wanted something a little different, and I kind of like how those colors work together. And I would never pair these 2 together really, but in this like sort of patchwork, I think it looks really fun. It looks like a patchwork. So coming right along. This one was probably the most tedious because we've got 3 different colors, and every time you finish a band of color, you do have to like break the yarn and introduce the other color. Because I suppose I could have carried it up the side, but you have so many other yarns you're carrying, I just could not be bothered to carry another ball of yarn. So I've got a lot of ends to weave in there. So that's another project for another night as well. But I am on the last chart for this shawl. And I can definitely say that I can now knit stranded knitting flat. That was why I decided to knit this, was to practice that skill, because I had not really done that before, and I like to practice skills in a project. I just think that's more fun than doing a swatch. But I'll be glad to have this done though, because like double knitting, I'm very slow when I do like the purl rows. I don't turn my work. I like do my stranded knitting this way, and then instead of turning, I purl back without turning it. I've done a video on that, so if you look for like knitting backwards, you'll find it. So that's helpful too, because you're not turning so much, so you're not getting all your balls of yarn twisted from the intarsia. Sort of keeps everything in the same place, which is really nice. But I'm in this sort of, there's a couple times a year where I feel like it's like time to clear the decks with my projects. And this is one of those times, like when it's about Christmas break and I want to think about some fun new projects in January, you know, that time of year, I want to like finish up everything that I'm working on and like have a whole new batch of patterns and patterns to work on. So I think for the most part I will. That's the plan, is to like get these things off my needles, and I'll have all new things over like Christmas break and into January. I feel the same in the summer. Like when it's like summertime, I'm ready to clear the decks and start summer projects as well. So a lot of these I'm hoping to like finish up over the next month. And the Scout Shawl is definitely one I'd like to finish up. I'm on the last chart. Should definitely be able to do that. Now for the Twitch pullover, I keep wanting to say cardigan. I don't know why. I finished the second of the back panels. This is the center panel. I haven't woven in the ends, haven't blocked it yet, so it's all curled in on itself. So it's just a tube of striped stockinette. There, you can see some of it. So just stripes, a little bit of neckline shaping here at the top. That's it. That's the second panel. Oops. And I have started the third panel as well. So there's 3 panels across the back, 3 panels across the front, and then you sew them all up, and then you've got the sleeves to do. And for me, this one's, it's boring because it's just stockinette, but sometimes you need something just in your hands, and this is it. So I wanted to have this to wear. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon though, because I don't like pick it up to knit it because I really want to knit it because it's just plain stockinette stripes. But it is nice when I'm driving somewhere, you know, and it's so small because you're only working on one little panel. You just pop it in your purse and you go. So it's getting worked on, but it's not like one that I pull out to work on when I'm just, you know, at home and I want to knit, unless I want something like mindless, then I do pull that out. But I'm on the third panel, so you can see the stripes are a different width on this one. Hold that up there. So this is number 3 for the back. So this one will be the left back, I believe. So I'm working up there, and then there'll be some like sleeve shaping, then some shoulder shaping at the top. But so hopefully I'll have this one done by December. I'm not going to have this whole pullover done by December, but I'll have the 3 back panels done, I hope. Maybe I'll get like the ends woven in and get them sewn together. And then I'll still have the 3 front panels to do, which will carry over probably into Christmas and into January. And I guess I'm not going to have this one done anytime soon, but it is, I'm working away at it and plugging away. And this is one I like the look of it. I think it's really fun with all of the different stripes. And I went for like, well, a bold color choice here. So this is Knit Pick Stroll, just their sock yarn. And which is a nice soft yarn. I don't love it for socks because it's so soft and I've worn holes into it, but I like it for things like shawls, and I wouldn't usually use it for a whole sweater, but where this is small panels that are going to be sewn together, that's going to give it some structure, lots of structure. Like the 3 pieces are all there's going to be seams everywhere holding this together. So I'm not so concerned about like the superwash losing its shape. I think it'll be totally fine. So that is coming along, and hopefully I'll have panel 3 done by the next episode. So I can't recall how much of this I had finished for the last podcast. I don't think it was very much. I think it was probably maybe just this exact amount, or maybe I had just cast on. I don't remember. I had plans to have the whole body finished, but the cowl, the adventure cowl, the big hooded cowl, that one is a deadline that I had to have done by January. I wanted to have it done before Christmas. I still have to finish the pattern and do the photos, so that is fine. This one, when I have different like deadlines for projects, this one is more of a, I'm publishing it myself, so personal deadline, so I can push it back if I have to. So the things that are going to publications, like that hat, I had to get that out the door, you know, like I have to prioritize those projects. So I'm making excuses now to say why this is not done, because I intended to have the body all finished. And obviously I do not have the body all finished. But yes, when I'm working on different designs, I have a one-track mind. Like I want to finish the cowl and focus on that and make sure I've got that worked out. So my brain doesn't want to switch between 2 different patterns when it's something I'm designing, because I have to like get into the headspace for that design. I don't even know if that makes any sense. It's not like, you know, just pick up a project and start knitting. I've got to think about how I'm going to word this, how I'm going to grade this, you know, how things should look, or where I should put short rows, things like that. So that's my excuse for why this isn't finished. But I am at the point where I'm going to divide the body and sleeves. I know it doesn't look like much, but the neckline is actually going to be finished after. So I'm going to come back and like do some decreasing and some short row shaping, so that'll pull the neckline up. But I don't want like a close crew neck. I don't like them particularly much. I like them a little lower, like this V-neck. Of course, it's a yoke sweater, so there's no V-neck here. But I don't want a high crew neck. I want like a, not a boat neck, but a low crew neck, I guess. So I am at the point where I can divide. So I stopped because I wanted to do a demonstration on how I separate the body and sleeves for a full bust. Because in a yoke sweater, it's very common if you are bustier to knit one for your full bust, and then when you try it on, you've got like, it's kind of maybe not tight across the front, but it fits maybe a little tight, and then across the back you've got like all this extra fabric, because when you split the sleeves from the body, you divide everything directly in half. So you've got the fabric in the back where you don't need it. Like you need that extra fabric that's floating around back there, you need it across the front. The simple thing to do is just to move your sleeves back. Basically, like instead of like dividing where the pattern tells you to divide like the front and the back equally, you take some of those stitches, you subtract them from the back, add them to the front, and you kind of move your sleeves back. So I've got to do a demonstration about that, so it kind of put this on hold. But once I get that done, hopefully next week, then I can like finish the body. And the body is going to be, I've got a little bit of waist shaping to do, and I think can't decide if I'm going to do a cropped length on this one or not, but hopefully the body will be done. I have big plans to finish the whole sweater by the December podcast. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but because I have another design on my needles as well, and then I'm waiting for yarn for another design that's going to be due in January. So like I said, when I've got designs that have like particular deadlines where they have to go out the door to other places, I have to focus on those first. So this one seems to get pushed to the back, but my plan is to release this pattern and full video tutorial in February. We'll see if that's still going to happen. I'm going to try to get it out by then, but this one, so it is going to be a full circular yoke sweater tutorial with lots of different ways to do things, like cast on at the neck and start right away, or start with a provisional cast on to finish the neckline later, different sleeve lengths, different body lengths, some optional, I'm going to have a separate bonus sort of guide for adding waist shaping. And so this one uses Knit Picks Galileo, which is, I did not write down what is in this yarn. Let me check a label. Okay, so it's 50% merino wool, 50% viscose from bamboo. So it has like this really lovely drapiness to it, and it also has like a little bit of a shine from the bamboo, really nice and soft yarn. And I've got 2 more samples to knit. One for like the mannequin, I just want to double check the sizing to make sure like my grading is right. So if I do one for me, which is on the higher end of the pattern sizes, and then one for the mannequin, which will be like probably the smallest size, then I'll have like a little sample, demo sample as well to do all of the tutorial bits for it. So it's a lot to try to manage in my head and then write it all out and put it together, but it is coming along. The pattern, well, the grading for the pattern is all done. I started right there so I could like do my pattern, and then I'm writing the pattern as I knit, sort of, and then I'll like have the pattern finished, and then I will knit the mannequin sample from the pattern to make sure things are clear, and then yeah, it's got to be tech edited and all of that. There's a lot to go on. Hopefully I can still get this released in February. Okay, so this project I have been putting off for a while. Like, I knew I wanted to knit it. The pattern was just sitting there, and I originally was going to use one of my yarnable skeins of yarn, but it was not the right kind of variegated yarn, so changed my mind. And when I was dyeing the yarn for my fading point shawl, I just grabbed an extra skein and decided to dye that one at the same time. So I did like this royal cobalt blue, and then I used some of the leftover orange dye from that shawl to do like the orange color in here. So all I did with the yarn was I laid it out like in the hank. I opened it up, laid it on some plastic wrap, and I kind of painted the dye on there. Like 2/3 of it was the royal blue, and then 1/3 of that skein, just one section of it, I did with the orange, wrapped it all up, and then steamed it. And I don't think I steamed it long enough, because when I was rinsing it, quite a bit of dye came out in the water, but hopefully it'll be okay. It's just for me anyway, because I wanted to do this assigned pooling. I keep getting the terms confused. There's planned pooling and there's assigned pooling. With assigned pooling, you assign a specific stitch pattern to a specific color. So in the case of this, it's 4x4 rib for the blue, and then when you get to the orange, you switch to seed stitch. So I've gotten quite a lot done, because this, like, I didn't get it started because there's like a little bit, it's more of a recipe than a real pattern, and you've got to like do a little bit of homework first. You've got to knit a little sample to see how long the color change is and how many stitches it is for you on your needles with your gauge, blah 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 blah, and then translate that to like your own stitch count for your cowl, basically. So that didn't actually take long, but that was what kept me from actually starting. But once I just decided, okay, let's sit down and do that, and then I cast on, oh my word, there's nothing difficult about this. It's just 4x4 rib and seed stitch. But for some reason, like, it is just so relaxing, and I didn't want to put it down. Like, I finished quite a lot because it was just, I don't know, it just so rewarding for some reason. Like, just very simple, but you see the color changes and you work in like stitch counts of 4. It's in the pattern. You'd have to read the pattern. But stitches, I mean, I just can't really explain why I enjoy it so much, because it's seed stitch and it's rib. Why would I want to keep knitting that? Because it's not particularly fun, but for some reason it really is. Like, it's just, so you can see how it's looking. It does kind of remind me of a geode when you break one open. Like, it's just, I don't know if you can see what the stitch patterns, there we go. You can see it a little better here. The ribbing, the seed stitch, like it's kind of winding around there. I'm getting quite a spiral here, but this is just lots of fun. But it feels it's relaxing because it's not hard, but you do have to pay attention because you are working in like groups of 4 stitches. So you have to like look at the color on your needles to see, okay, what 4 stitches do I have to work next? But there's just something about it that feels very rewarding and very relaxing, and sort of like you just got to do a little more, got to do a little more. Like when you have some chocolate, ooh, got to have another piece, got to have another M&M. Like, it's just, I don't know, for me this is like the chocolate bar of knitting. I actually was using this as my reward for finishing like the next chart in the Scout shawl. I'm like, okay, you get that done and then you can knit some of this cowl. So whatever works for you, I guess, for a reward system. But for this, like this, I just cannot explain why it is so satisfying to knit this. It's not like it's hard, but there's something about watching the colors and changing stitch patterns, and I really think it's really lovely how it's sort of coming together. Like, I don't know, I've got plans now. I want to do some like designing with assigned pooling, but just very, very satisfying. Oh, so the yarn for this is another skein of Capretta Superwash Bear from Knit Picks. So Superwash Merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, very soft and nice, and then I dyed the yarn myself. So I have a new project to tell you about with this yarn right here. So this is yarn from Hypnotic Yarns. I'm going to be working on a make-along with Cheryl from Hypnotic Yarns and Valerie, the Knitting Fairy Godmother. I'm going to link to them down below. Valerie's going to do a crochet shawl, and I'm going to design a knit shawl. They'll be like kissing cousins. They won't be exactly the same, but they'll be similar. And Cheryl will be providing the yarn, which according to our timeline right now will be available for pre-order in January. So these are the 3 colors, and I am working on the shawl right now. We've been working away, talking about the design, and I am working on it right now. So it's not going to be a mystery at all. So we decided we're just going to show everything as it's being worked on. So I'm all tangled up here. Let me get untangled. So it's going to be an asymmetrical triangle shawl with 3 colors. So I've started with the green so far. So just that little bit to cast on there. And right now I'm working on some little flowers that are going to go in there in that purple shade. So a little bit right there. Is that going to show up? Hopefully. You can kind of see them there. So that's the first section of flowers. I'm going to do a couple more of those, and then we're still working out details on the rest, so I'll have to show you that when it's finished, but it is coming along. I mean, it's asymmetrical triangles, so it's pretty simple. I did go up a needle size from what I usually do for a shawl because I wanted like a nice good drape. So US 6 for this, and I'm really liking how it's coming out. Oh, that's the wrong side. I'm looking at the wrong side there. There is the right side. So see if you can see those flowers again. There we go. Kind of. You can see right through them. So that's 1 row. I'm going to do that again. After I knit a couple more of the green, we're going to repeat that a couple times to have some of those flowers in there. And then we've got some other stitch patterns to incorporate, but I'll show you that when it's done because we might change things. This was originally supposed to have some mosaic knitting in it, but was not loving how that was looking and didn't really, don't know, wasn't what I wanted. So we've been discussing and working things out, but this is where we're at so far. But this should be done, hopefully by Christmas time, by next podcast episode. And the yarn is lovely, just Hypnotic Yarns, 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon, and lovely colors. Just these, perfect for spring, like just these lavender shades with green. And I'm knitting and I'm thinking, I feel like, I know winter's coming, but I'm thinking spring, like when the green shoots up out of the ground, that's like the first part. Then you get some little buds of color, and I'm just thinking spring things while I'm knitting this. But I don't have a link for this yet, but I will put one down below as soon as I have it. I'm going to make a note to myself to come back and add that link. So there will be like a waiting list if you want to hear more about the knit along and the yarn kits and everything that will be available for this coming up in January. Now I have one more project. I know I'm waiting for the yarn to come. This is another design that will be due, I think, in January as well. So I can't show you the yarn yet. I can tell you it's going to be another cowl, a bandana cowl this time, knit flat and then sewn together to give it like bandana shape using tuck stitches. So I'll hopefully have that all done for the next episode, but the yarn, I'm waiting on that. Our Canada Post is on strike here, so there have been some issues with getting yarn. So just waiting on that. And then I've got some thinking about my Christmas knits because I think I've got my sweater to work on, but most everything else I'd like to have finished by Christmas. so I can cast on new things. I need new slippers, and I'd like a new pair of like gloves when I'm walking the dog, or fingerless mitts, something like that. And that leads me to acquisitions. I got a Tunisian crochet hook set. Knit Picks has been having their big sale this month, and I needed some other things, so I just snapped this up at the same time. So, because I was thinking it would be nice to try a new kind of crochet, so I'm going to be looking for a Tunisian crochet project, and I didn't know what size needles I would need, so I figured I'm just going to get a set of them, so I have them. If I ever do more Tunisian crochet, then I've got them already. So I've got ideas, but I think I'm going to, maybe because the next podcast episode is going to be a little bit early, and I don't know if I'll have a ton of finished things to show and talk about, but I'll talk about like what I'd like to knit over Christmas. And I don't have a Tunisian crochet project picked out yet. I was thinking maybe like a 1 skein shawl or something, like just something small that would take 1 skein of sock weight yarn. If you have a recommendation, I'd love to hear what you would recommend, something small and easy for a first Tunisian crochet project. But I did pick up that at least, and that leaves me to our next thing, our Yarnable subscription for the month. So the subscription this month, the theme is Let's Get Basted, because it is obviously Thanksgiving themed. So the first thing in here is an enamel pin. Very, very cute pin. It's an adorable pin. It will go on one of my knitting bags. I have one that I use when I'm doing swatches around the house, and it just like sits on your arm, and all my pins go on that bag. So this will definitely go on there. Now, my whole Yarnable box smells because of this box right here, this Sweater Weather Aromatherapy Shower Steamer. So it smells sweet pumpkin and cardamom with hints of rum, clove, and nutmeg. Okay, that's what I'm smelling. I feel like I'm smelling like pumpkin pie or something. So, ooh, I don't know if I can get this box open. I might save it. Okay, so it's just a big block that I don't even know if that's going to show up because it's white, but it's just a big block. It smells so nice. So I'm guessing you place it in the shower floor, and it will slowly dissolve and release a soothing scent into the room. It smells nice like this, and the whole bag just smells like that. It smells really good. So I bet that will be nice if you have like if you're stuffed up or something, you know, you like to take a hot steamy shower when you're stuffy. I can smell it on my hands. Then I bet that's going to be nice. I'll save it for that. Anyway, when I want like a nice hot shower, and I want things to smell like pumpkin pie. And then there's also a little like sort of pencil size case that says Falling Leaves Yarn Please. So cute little bag as well, little notions bag. It's really cute. I like the themes in this. And of course we have our yarn. So let's see what the yarn looks like this month. Ooh, that's really pretty. So variegated yarn again this month. I like this color combination. Like, I like this because I wouldn't buy the skein of yarn, but now that I'm holding it and looking at it, I'm like, oh, this is really lovely. What am I going to do with this? So I'm starting to get a collection of these. I've got to get ahead. Maybe that will be my plan for December, is sit down with the last few. I think I've got like 3 or 4 skeins I have not decided what to do with yet. I can still smell that. It smells really nice. So I should sit down and make a plan for this yarn, because I'm not used to having like a stack of yarn that doesn't have a plan. So maybe that'll be my December project. So I really like this shade of brown here. The gold, it's very pretty. Anyway, so let's get basted. Every month we talk about a knitting book, but this month I feel like doing something different. Let's talk about a knitting app instead. Knit Companion. Now, this tool I've used as long as I've been knitting. I think I've probably found it like soon after, and I've been using it ever since. I just like having, I've used like printing things out and writing on them, and that's fine, but you lose your papers, you forget where you were, things happen. So I love having things digital and putting my patterns in Knit Companion and then just keeping track of things in there works really well for me. So much so that I have it on 2 different devices. I have the free version on my phone for quick patterns, or where I just, like the counters and the highlighter. That's enough. And even like a place to put some notes, that's enough for a lot of the time. Then other times I've got more difficult patterns or bigger charts, or so I use my iPad, which has the Setup Plus Essentials on it. So I can have big charts and I can write on the pattern. So many other things I can do. I can put video links and watch videos right from Knit Companion. I can even change the colors on the charts, which is a huge thing for me, because I should have done that with the Scout Shawl that I'm working on right now, because my pattern colors are different than the designer's colors. So it would have been really nice to change those instead of having to remember which color I'm using compared to hers. There are so many features with Knit Companion. I don't think I've even touched on half of them that could be used, but I'm going to put a link to their features page so you can see what is included in the free version, in the Setup Plus Essentials version, and I think there's a free, you can get a free 7-day trial of the Setup Plus Essentials to try out some of those other bonus features that they have with that version of the app, but you should definitely at least get the free one because it's really a great app and great way to keep track of your projects. And that leads us right into our giveaway for the month, which is the Stand It Up from Knit Companion. It's a little stand for your phone or your iPad, whichever device has your Knit Companion app on it. So you can stand it up and follow along with your chart or your written instructions as you're knitting. So this is our giveaway for the month, is this great little stand. Comes in a nice little bag. So just leave a comment down below telling me if you use Knit Companion or not, and if you do, what your favorite feature is, because I want to find out what features I should be using. And I want to, well, I'm not going to send this to you. I'm keeping this one for me, but the creator of Knit Companion is going to send you your own. Now, fine print for this is not sponsored by YouTube or anything like that. It's sponsored by Knit Companion. I'm hosting the giveaway. They are providing the prize. They will mail it worldwide. The only thing is, if your country has some sort of customs or duties or taxes, if you win, you'll be responsible for those. We won't be. So you have that to keep in mind. If you're going to enter the giveaway, you might have to pay customs or duties or taxes. They are sent as a gift, but most places that usually clears customs just fine. But just in case, the responsibility is yours. So leave a comment down below telling me whether you use Knit Companion or not, and if you do, tell me about your favorite feature. And I will use a random comment generator to choose a winner on Tuesday, December 3rd for the giveaway, and then I will leave a comment below your comment, and then I will tag you in a post telling you that you won, and then you just have to get in touch with me, and I will forward your mailing information along, and Knit Companion will get your stand out to you. So everything we talked about today, you'll find linked down below, along with all of the guidelines and rules for entering the giveaway. To enter for this cute little stand, I have one and I use it a lot. It sits, well, I'm holding it right now, but it's going to go back out beside where I sit in the living room, so it's always right where I need it. And it's a nice little stand to prop up your phone or your iPad. Yes, it even holds an iPad, so you can keep track of what you're doing on Knit Companion while you're knitting. That's it for this episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here, I will put a playlist from this season's latest podcast episodes so you can catch up on past episodes. And if you've been around for a while, I'm just going to let YouTube recommend a video for you, and I'll see you in the next video.